I'm Natalie, a wife, a sister, a woman who once believed that family was the safest place on earth. Until that fateful night, under glittering chandeliers and hollow praises, I saw my husband and my sister, hand in hand like lovers. Everything collapsed with a single photograph. And that was only the beginning. Before I share my journey from betrayal to rebirth, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you've ever made it through a heartbreak you thought would break you forever. Trust me, you'll want to hear what happens next. The chandeliers at St. Mary's Hospital Gala sparkled like promises, bright, beautiful, and ultimately hollow. I smoothed my navy dress for the third time, watching my husband work the room with practiced ease. Dr. Mason Hale, beloved surgeon, community pillar, my partner of 8 years. Natalie, you look lost in thought. Sandra, one of Mason's colleagues, touched my elbow. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Just admiring the decorations, I lied, accepting a glass of champagne I wouldn't drink. The evening crawled forward in predictable beats, speeches about dedication, jokes about long hours, applause that echoed off marble walls. I'd attended dozens of these events, smiled through hundreds of conversations about procedures I'd never fully understand. Tonight felt different, though. Whispers dying when I approached, glances sliding away like oil on water. "Ladies and gentlemen," the hospital director's voice boomed, "let's celebrate our distinguished staff with a special presentation." The lights dimmed. A screen descended. Photos began cycling, doctors with patients, team celebrations, holiday parties. Normal, expected, safe. Then the world tilted. There on the screen, 30 feet tall, Mason and my sister Amelia at a Colorado resort. His arm around her waist, her head on his shoulder. Not the casual pose of in-laws, the intimate lean of lovers. My champagne glass hit the floor. The crash barely registered over the roaring in my ears. Someone gasped. The photo changed. Another hospital scene, but I couldn't see it. Couldn't see anything but that image burned into my retinas. My husband, my sister, a truth I'd been too blind to notice. "Natalie?" Mason appeared at my side, concern painted across his face like stage makeup. "Are you all right?" I looked at him, really looked. Saw the slight panic in his eyes, the way his hand hesitated before touching my arm. 5 months. Amelia had moved back to Ashford 5 months ago. Unemployed, she'd said. Needed family support, she'd said. Started coming over to cook for Mason during my late client meetings. "I need air." The words came from somewhere far away. I walked out slowly, deliberately, refusing to give them a scene. My heels clicked against marble, each step a small rebellion against the silence that wanted to swallow me whole. The next week passed in careful performances. I smiled at breakfast, kissed Mason goodbye, went to my design studio. But between fabric samples and client calls, I ordered tiny cameras online. Same-day delivery. Cash purchase at a FedEx store outside town. "Working late again tonight?" Mason asked Wednesday evening, medical journal open on his lap. "The Morrison Project." I didn't meet his eyes. You know how particular she is about crown molding. Amelia offered to bring dinner by, said she's trying a new recipe. My wedding ring caught the light as I reached for my purse. How thoughtful of her. I installed the camera while he showered the next morning, fingers steady despite the nausea climbing my throat. Just one, hidden in the air vent with a clear view of our bed. Our bed where we'd conceived 2 miscarriages, where we'd whispered about trying again. 3 days later, I sat in my car outside a Seattle hotel, laptop open, watching the feed. Told Mason I had a weekend conference, told myself I was paranoid, told my heart to stop racing. 4:47 p.m., Mason arrives home. 5:23 p.m., Amelia's car in the driveway. 5:31 p.m., they enter the bedroom. I closed the laptop. Didn't need to see more. The sounds through my earbuds were enough. My sister's laugh, my husband's groan, the specific creak of our mattress I'd been meaning to fix. I drove to the waterfront instead, watched ferries carry strangers to better places. A pregnancy test sat in my purse, 2 pink lines I'd discovered that morning. A cruel joke from a universe with questionable timing. When I finally returned Sunday night, the house smelled like her perfume. Jasmine and vanilla. Nothing like my bergamot and cedar. Mason had changed the sheets. Thoughtful. He kissed my cheek, asked about the conference, suggested we try that new Italian place Friday. Sounds perfect, I said, already mentally cataloging assets, researching lawyers, moving money in small, unremarkable transfers. The bathroom held more evidence. Blonde hair in my brush. Her lipstick shade on a tissue in the wastebasket. Sloppy. Or maybe they wanted me to know. Maybe the thrill required an audience, even an unwitting one. I drove to my parents' house on a Tuesday afternoon, evidence tucked in a manila folder. Mom answered the door in her church volunteer apron, flour dusting her hands. Natalie, what a surprise. Amelia's here too. We're making pies for the fundraiser. Of course she was. They sat at the kitchen table where I'd done homework, where Dad taught me chess, where we'd celebrated 28 years of Christmases. I placed the folder between the mixing bowls. What's this? Dad looked over his reading glasses. The truth. I pulled out screenshots, bank statements showing hotel charges, the private investigator's report I'd commissioned after the camera confirmed everything. Clinical, factual, undeniable. Mom's face went white, then red, but not with anger at them. Natalie Marie, how could you? The words hit like ice water. How could I? Spying on your family? Hiring investigators? She pulled Amelia closer. My baby sister who wore my perfume and slept in my bed. This is what jealousy looks like, sweetheart. This is what happens when you put career before family. She's sleeping with my husband. You don't know what you saw. Dad's voice, usually so measured, cracked with disappointment. Not in them, in me. Stress makes people see things. Remember when you thought Mason was cheating 3 years ago, during your difficult time? The miscarriage. He meant the miscarriage that nearly killed me, when I'd been paranoid from blood loss and grief. They'd use my worst moment as a weapon now. This is different. There's proof, proof of what? That your sister helps around your house? That your husband gave her a ride somewhere? Mom stood, righteous indignation straightening her spine. You're going to destroy this family's reputation over your wild assumptions? Amelia hadn't said a word, just sat there, tears streaming down her face, letting Mom pet her hair like she was still 7 and I'd refused to share my Halloween candy. Get help, Natalie. Dad's pronouncement felt like a gavel. Don't come back until you're ready to apologize. I laughed. Actually laughed. The sound scared me, hollow and sharp like breaking glass. There's one more thing. I stood, hand on my stomach. I'm pregnant. Thought you should know since you're choosing sides. I left them with their pies and their denial, their golden child and their convenient blindness. In the car, I finally let myself remember. Mom crying in the laundry room when I was 12. Dad's secretary suddenly moving to Phoenix. The family therapy we never talked about. Patterns. We inherit them like eye color, pass them down like heirloom china nobody actually wants. Bend, Oregon welcomed me with high desert air and strangers' faces. I rented a craftsman cottage, sight unseen, paid 6 months up front, told the landlord I was a widow. Easier than explaining why a pregnant woman was starting over alone. The silence felt different here. Not the suffocating quiet of Ashford's judgment, but something cleaner. Space to breathe. Room to break down in private. I found the support group by accident, walking past the community center to clear my head. Women rebuilding, the sign said, every Thursday, coffee provided. First time? The facilitator, Beth, had kind eyes and coffee-stained fingers. No pressure to share, just listen if you want. So I listened. To Sarah, whose husband gambled away their retirement. To Ming, whose family chose her abuser. To Denise, who still flinched at doorbell sounds. Their stories wrapped around mine, made me feel less like a ghost. Week 3, I finally spoke. My husband slept with my sister. My family blamed me for discovering it. The words hung there, ugly and true. Nobody gasped. Nobody judged. Sarah reached over, squeezed my hand. The betrayal of family hits different, she said. Makes you question your whole history. After group, I usually walked to clear my head. That Thursday, rain started suddenly, Oregon style, immediate and drenching. I ducked into the nearest doorway just as someone else did the same. Sorry, didn't mean to crowd you. The man stepped back, water dripping from dark hair. Green eyes, laugh lines. a prosthetic where his left hand should be. Plenty of room. I pressed against the wall, making space. You're from the group? Not a question. I volunteer here, teaching woodworking to kids. See you ladies leaving sometimes. Jonah, he offered his right hand. Natalie. We stood there watching rain make rivers of the street, not talking about why I knew his name meant dove, or why he understood the weight of starting over. The cease and desist letter arrived on a Monday. Mason's hospital letterhead, threatening legal action for defamation and targeted harassment. Claimed I'd been sending explicit photos to his colleagues, posting lies on medical forums, trying to destroy his career. I hadn't, but someone had. Classic Darvo, Beth said when I showed the group. Deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. He's scared. I started a blog that night. Anonymous. The Ashford Silence, a chronicle of betrayal. Posted the videos, the evidence, the truth wrapped in careful prose. Added context about small towns, family systems, medical professionals who thought themselves gods. The response shocked me. Comments poured in. Women sharing similar stories, offering legal advice, investigating publicly available information about Mason and Amelia. Someone found her college disciplinary records. Formal warning for inappropriate pursuit of her roommate's boyfriend. My phone buzzed constantly. Unknown numbers I didn't answer. Voicemails from mom about Christian forgiveness. Texts from church friends about casting stones. I changed my number, kept only Beth and my lawyer. Then Jonah, who'd started bringing me herbal tea during walks, neither of us acknowledging it was becoming routine. You're allowed to be angry, he said one evening, sawdust in his hair from teaching. Anger's just love with nowhere to go. I don't feel angry anymore, just empty. That's anger too, the quiet kind. He touched his prosthetic. Lost this in Kandahar. Spent a year pretending I wasn't furious at God, my body, the whole world. Emptiness was easier than admitting how much I wanted to punch walls with a hand I didn't have anymore. Did it get better? Different. Not better or worse, just different. He smiled, the kind that acknowledged pain without dwelling. You're stronger than you think. Seen you with the group. You listen. Really listen. That's rare. My phone buzzed. Oregon number. I almost didn't answer. Ms. Reed, this is Portland General. You're listed as Amelia Reed's emergency contact. She's in cardiac ICU, critical condition. The earth didn't stop spinning, but I wished it would. The doctor explained it clinically. Viral cardiomyopathy, heart functioning at 15%. Without a transplant, maybe 3 months. With one, if they found a match. Her sister is here, a nurse whispered. Same blood type, could be tested. I stood in the hallway watching through glass. Amelia looked small, tubes and wires making a medical marinade of her body. Mason sat beside her, holding her hand. My parents flanked him like guards. Mom saw me first, rushed out, grabbed my shoulders. Thank God you came. You can save her. You have to save her. I came to say goodbye. The words dropped between us like a bomb. Dad joined us, voice desperate. Natalie, please. She's your sister. Your blood. She was my sister when she chose my bed. Was she my blood then? People make mistakes. This wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. Hundreds of choices. Every day for months. I touched my stomach, showing now at 5 months. I choose this life. I choose me. Mom pulled out a letter, handwritten, shaking. If you can't forgive, if you choose hate over love, that's on your soul, not ours. I read it. Guilt wrapped in scripture. Manipulation dressed as morality. The same weapon she'd used my whole life, just sharpened by desperation. I don't hate her, I said, handing it back. I nothing her. She's a stranger who happens to share DNA, and I don't owe strangers my organs. You'll kill her. Mason spoke for the first time, voice raw. You'll murder her. No, her heart is killing her. I'm just declining to fix it. I met his eyes, really looked at him for the last time. Like you declined to honor our marriage? Like my family declined to protect me? We all make choices. Security escorted me out when Dad lunged. I didn't fight, didn't run, walked steady, each step a declaration. I matter. My life matters. This baby matters. In the parking garage, I threw up, sat on concrete until my hands stopped shaking. A text from Jonah. Heard sirens heading to Portland General. You okay? No, but I will be. Spring came early to Bend. I documented it in photos, crocuses pushing through snow, the baby's nursery taking shape, my belly growing round as the high desert bloomed. The blog evolved too, became less about revenge and more about rebuilding. Women sent stories, resources, hope wrapped in shared pain. Jonah built a crib in his workshop. Let me sand the rails smooth. Never asked about the father. Never pushed for more than I offered. Just showed up, steady as sunrise. Teaching a kid to work with wood tomorrow, he mentioned one afternoon. My daughter lives with her mom in Portland, comes alternate weekends. You never said you had a daughter. You never asked. Gentle, not accusatory. Her name's Luna, 7, asks a million questions. About your hand? About everything. Why clouds float, where babies come from. If my new friend is sad because her eyes look like rain. I stopped sanding. What did you tell her? That sometimes people have rain inside them, but rain makes things grow. Mason called 93 times the night Amelia died. I know because the lawyer documented each one. Voicemails oscillating between rage and pleading, threats and promises. I didn't listen. Donated my phone to the women's shelter, got a new one with a Nevada number. The obituary called it tragic. Said she was beloved daughter and sister. No mention of the circumstances. No mention of me. I'd been erased from the family narrative, written out like a character who didn't test well with audiences. I felt relieved, not happy, not vindicated, just relieved that the waiting was over, the other shoe dropped, the final tie cut. You did the right thing, Beth said at group. Your body, your choice, always. Then why do I feel guilty? Because you're human. Because they programmed you to put everyone else first. Guilt's just your old programming fighting new software. Luna visited that weekend, small and serious, with Jonah's eyes and her mother's curiosity. She studied my belly like a science project. Dad says you're growing a person. I am. Does it hurt? Sometimes, but it's worth it. She nodded, satisfied. Like when I broke my arm, but it healed stronger. Dad says broken things can be tougher if they heal right. Haven arrived on a Tuesday, screaming and perfect. 7 pounds of new beginning with Mason's nose but my fighter's spirit. Jonah drove us to the hospital, waited 12 hours, held my hand when fear crept in. She's beautiful, the nurse said. Dad must be proud. I didn't correct her. Neither did Jonah. We settled into rhythm, feedings and diapers, Luna's weekend visits, blog posts written one-handed while nursing. The world shrank to manageable size. This house, these people, this life I'd built from scorched earth. A publisher reached out, wanted to turn the blog into a book. The Ashford silence speaks to something vital, she wrote. Women need these stories, need to know survival is possible. I signed the contract on Haven's 3-month birthday. Used the advance to start a scholarship fund. The Phoenix Program for Women Rebuilding After Betrayal. The first recipient was Ming from Group, finally able to leave her husband and finish her degree. I want to dedicate this to someone, I told the editor. To every woman who chose herself when the world demanded she disappear. To everyone who learned that family isn't blood, it's who shows up when you're rebuilding from ashes. Jonah proposed nothing, offered no grand gestures or promises of forever. Just showed up day after day, fixed the leaky faucet, taught Luna to be gentle with the baby, kissed my forehead when nightmares came. I love you, I told him one ordinary Thursday. Haven sleeping between us, Luna coloring at the table. I know, he said. Been loving you back since you walked into that rainstorm. The book released to quiet fanfare. I did no interviews, no tours. Let the words speak for themselves. Let other women carry the message forward, torches lighting torches in the dark. Mason sent one last letter through the lawyer. Wanted to establish paternity, claim rights. I responded with a simple truth. A father is more than DNA. It's showing up. You made your choice. Let me make mine. He didn't pursue it. Maybe shame. Maybe Amelia's family needed a villain more than he needed a child. Maybe he finally understood that some silences can't be unbroken. Some bridges burned beyond repair. Haven took her first steps in Jonah's workshop. reaching for Luna's outstretched hands. I filmed it, cried a little, felt my heart stretch to accommodate joy I'd thought impossible. "Mama sad?" Luna asked, worried. "Happy tears?" I promised. "The very best kind. We don't live in Ashford anymore. That town, that family, that woman, they're chapters in a book I've closed. But we live. Fully. Loudly. Without apology or permission. I teach Haven to use her voice before anyone can steal it. To trust her gut when smiles lie. To know her worth isn't negotiable. Her body not communal property. Her life not a supporting role in someone else's story. Sometimes I dream about them. Wake up grinding my teeth, phantom pain where they gutted me. But morning comes, Haven babbles. Jonah makes coffee. Luna shows us her latest drawings. Life insists on continuing, and I'm grateful for its stubborn hope. The silence of Ashford tried to bury me. Instead, I learned to speak. Learned that family is chosen, love is shown, and sometimes the most radical act is simply refusing to disappear. I was a ghost in my own life once. Now I'm resurrection proof. Scarred but whole, broken but rebuilt, silent no more.